So here we are with our finished piece. I have finished all the spaces that I want to slow stitch. I've got my circles, my arc I tried around in here. I left the animals untouched and it kind of gives them a little bit of a quilted space. So the question is, what do we do with this? There's lots of different choices, and so this video is going to be kind of talking through what you could do with this if you don't want to just hang it up, or put it in a box to save for a project for later, or maybe you want to add to it and you just have a whole nother piece onto the side and you just keep working on it. It could really evolve. But I have a couple of ideas, and one as I was thinking about this that I really centered on. So in looking at this piece, I'm actually going to work with the one that I finished before, but in thinking about this one of the things that I thought about was I really love a good mug rug where, let's pretend this is the mug, you can kind of set this on here and then you got a little bit of space for like a cookie or, you know, a little crostini bread or, you know, whatever little snack you've got, some pretzels. And so I might then go ahead and face a piece of fabric on top and then just center it around, turn it inside out, and then this becomes kind of a finished piece. I've noticed that as I've sewn, it's kind of gotten a little bit off kilter, so I'd want to shape that up a little bit, but that's just who I am. I like to have things a little shaped. So that's something I could do with this. I've also been seeing things online where I could create this as the cover of a stitching book where I could go ahead and have a couple of other pieces. I don't know that I would want to leave this unfinished piece on the back. I had this piece, and the reason why I selected this one was because the ideas that I had just were best suited for this particular size. This other one, see, that's the thing, is now that I have a picture on here, I really want this to be in this direction. Whereas this one, it was just neutral pieces. And so initially, I have a lot of these left over from a class. I like to give these little notebooks and things out to students, college level students, at the first day of class to kind of take some notes or, you know, just kind of as a start. But I was thinking, wouldn't this be almost a perfect size for a cute little journal? And I really love that idea so much that I went ahead and kind of pinned that. And the idea being that I could just kind of sew a little fold there. I actually could, if I really wanted to, I could just glue that on and then glue it over here too. Same thing for this one. Too well. I've changed my mind since, but you get the idea. Basically, I could make a nice little cover using my slow stitching, and I really love that idea, and I think I might come back to that. But I'm not going to do that because I was thinking and looking online that there's so many needle books in a needle case. That's one of the suggested things that you can do with this slow stitching project. And the more I thought about it, I have this drawer that has all these needles. So I have this one and these, and whenever I want to use them, you know, I have this lovely little kit, and it has a variety of sizes, and I'll always keep that. That's really nice. But if I'm looking for a particular size, or if I break my favorite one, I have to dig in and look through all my needles. So my idea is really to just kind of secure this, fold this over, and sew it a little bit. And then I have created these felt pages. Now this is wool felt that I got from a store on, I believe it's on Etsy online. Not quite sure, I'll have to look. Ginger Melon, who has these really great, lovely little dolls that she does, and maybe that's for another day. But I like this idea of this beautiful wool felt. It has a nicer feel than the synthetic version that, you know, definitely is a little bit less expensive, but these even aren't that much. And I like the colors because I thought we have a bucket of these And so I'm just gonna cut these pages to size, and I think I'm gonna put the green inside of that one. And then, I don't even care if it's totally even. Oh, let's be honest, of course I do. Yes, I do. So that'll bother me. You know, whenever I'm done, I can always just trim that up a little bit if I want it to look perfect. So this is gonna be a little book, right like this. And it's gonna get folded. And I think, and I'll fold that, I already did this once. Hold it all the way closed. And so I'm going to do a little bit of, sew a little bit along here. I might even do a blanket stitch all the way across the top and the bottom, and then sew these pieces, the top and the bottom, so that it has that nice finished looking edge. And I'm going to do the same thing with the back. And then after I get that kind of the way I want it, I'm going to unfold this and match it up so that I have my centers just right. And then I'm going to do a nice running stitch in here. Now, I say running, I'm not going to be doing it as we've been doing with our methodical slow stitch. I think this is going to be one of those times when I'm going to have to do the poking in and out so that I get, basically I'm binding this book together. So I'm going to pause and I'm going to work through that, and hopefully I can show you the progression of this little project over the next few minutes, and I'll show you the end result. So I'll be right back. So here I'm going to hide my knot down in here. It's a pretty good size knot. Take my first stitch down a little bit, and I'm going to start with the blanket stitch. There we go. And I've decided if I do the blanket stitch all the way across, I don't have to go back and sew it. So blanket stitch is basically sewing through the loop so it closes it up, and then I kind of hold that there. So from now on, I'm just gonna be sewing through that loop all the way across. This is that wool thread that I used. That might be a little fuzzy, but I'm okay with that. Alright, so I have all this kind of, I mean, it's not beautiful, but it is a little bit cleaner than it was before. And I do have this one, since it wasn't quite as long, I am gonna go ahead and just very carefully, not go all the way through, but tack this down a little bit so that it stays. I'm just gonna leave a loose end there and just kind of do a bit of a whip stitch. Again, this is intended to be about process and not product. So there's no real need to create and make something out of your slow stitching. It can just, you know, be something that is nice and tactile. But I know we're teachers, so we like to find uses for everything. I rarely throw things away, but I do. And I know I could create a little placemat or work mat using these. I know little friends, preschool, kindergarten, I bet they would just love the tactile feeling of this. Maybe they could use, I don't know. There's a million different things that you really could use. But I was just trying to show one thing that I'm going to do to make it useful. And so I won't also show the whole process, but again, I need to clean that up. But I'm going to fold this in half. It's not perfectly square. Again, just really, I have this little tool that kind of presses a better fold. It works excellent with paper, and with one layer of fabric, not as well. And then I had folded this. And so then I'm just gonna carefully line those up. Might stick a pin on the top just to anchor it that one spot. And the same thing on the bottom. And I'm gonna really do an in and out stitch in here. So I will do that real quick and come back and show you what that looks like. Let's see how I did, see what it looks like. Now we have all this beautiful stitches. It feels so lovely, and even though I used a different color, I can't see it that well on the spine. Again, it's not all perfectly symmetrical, but this is intended to be something useful. And over time, after I use it and it stays closed like this, I really could use it. I think I'll have this be the front. And then I'll open it, and then I'll stick my needles in there. And as you saw from the very beginning, that's what it looked like, and that's exactly what I did. And I might even, sew in a little label in here that says Sharps or Milliner, so that I can have a label for them, and I won't have to keep all of these packages inside of a drawer. And so that's one thing that you can do. And I hope you found that fun and interesting. And whenever I decide what I'm going to do with this, I will post and let you know on my Instagram. I'm thinking I would really like to do one of these if I can pick a certain size once a month, and then I can sew them all together, and it can be, I can measure it out, and it can be a scarf that I finish at the end of the year, and then I can just wear a memento of 2022. So there we are. I just wanted to thank you for hanging in there with me in December, this first time around with this practice. I hope you've learned that you can spend some time with yourself in this way, and if this sewing piece wasn't necessarily for you, that's okay. I wanted you to know that each month I'm going to do something a little bit different, and it's going to not always have sewing involved, but in January we're going to focus on some visible mending. So now that we've had some time to sit with ourselves and our thoughts, let's think about how we can transition. How can we take our old self and the practices and the things that we've known about before and make it new again? Not necessarily discard and get rid of, but how can we embrace our past selves and who we were and move forward to transition into this next stage. So some of that is going to come through just some of our mending of older things, thinking about adding different techniques, maybe even a little embroidery onto some other pieces to liven them up. So there's going to be lots of different ideas that we'll share. And if you want to just join me and watch and do your own slow stitching, running stitch practice that we've already introduced, that's fine too. So I look forward to seeing you in the new year.